Tom Thibodeau likes him. And one thing about Tom Thibodeau, if he likes a player, he going to run him to the ground. He's going to run him until the cartilage in his body starts to melt. Here are the top 5 waiver wire targets you need to focus on for week 16 of the fantasy basketball season. First up is a guy that I did not think I would ever talk about in this light. Like, this is not someone that I care for. And for me, I have so much respect for all NBA players. Like I understand the difficulty required, the level of difficulty and the skill required, I should say, to play on this level. So no disrespect or shade to any of those guys, but come on, man. Like, this is where we at. The first guy we're going to talk about has never been on this list ever, but times have changed. We're talking about Precious Atou. Yes, Precious Atou is on my top 5 waiver wire list. Yeah, that's where we are. So over the last 7 days, check this out. 39.5 minutes, 12.3 points, 8.5 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1 block per game. You cannot deny it, right? So there's a lot of opportunity. Isaiah Hartenstein banged up here and there. Mitch Robinson out for the season. Tom Thibodeau likes him. And one thing about Tom Thibodeau, if he likes a player, he's going to run him to the ground. He's going to run him until the cartilage in his body starts to melt. And I'm joking, of course. Don't take that too serious. So, next player we want to take a look at, somebody that might be available might still be available, might not, depending on the level of competition. But this guy, Paul Reed. With Joel Embiid out, Paul Reed has a bunch of, opportunity here. And also Mo Bamba. I watched the first couple games without Embiid, and Mo Bamba was putting on for the city as well. Paul Reed over the last 7 days, 19 minutes, 5 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 1 block. Nothing too crazy, and honestly, he's been a little inconsistent. He had a good game, bad game, good game, bad game. So it's like it goes back and forth. I would grab him and just ride it out. News came out today that Joel Embiid is actually going to have a procedure for that knee, so we don't really know what his timeline is going to look like, but chances are he won't really play again in the fantasy season, So for Joel Embiid, like any managers who have Joel Embiid, I'm sorry, that sucks. But you want to see if Paul Reed is out there. If he is, I grab him immediately. Next up is a guy we've talked about a bunch this season. He started out really hot, had a really good start to the season, but he has regressed. And now he's starting to make a bit of a comeback. I'm talking about from the New Orleans Pelicans, Herb Jones. Herb Jones over the last 7 days is averaging 27 minutes a game and 9 points a game, 3 rebounds a game. Now, he is a little banged up, so keep a lookout for that. Just somebody you want to keep your eyes on, especially as we head into the trade deadline. We don't know if they're going to make any moves, if he's going to land somewhere else. I haven't heard anything about that, but he's been pretty consistent as somebody in the last couple of weeks. He's been doing okay, so I would keep an eye on him as well. Next up is a player that we have been on a bit of an emotional roller coaster with, right? We were hyped about him draft season, and slowly but surely his stock started to sink. He's been banged up, and now he's starting to make a bit of a comeback. Somebody that is really, really taking the top off. Boobies is out, hair blowing in the wind. Convertible. It's on like popcorn. I'm talking about my man, Scoot Henderson. Scoot Henderson over the last 7 days, averaging 25.8 minutes per game, 17.8 points, y'all, 2.8 rebounds, 3.5 assists, a half a steal, a half a block a game. Had some really good fantasy games on the 29th against Philly. He had 46.2 fantasy points, 41 fantasy points on the 2nd. So your man is really doing his thing. He's starting to come back, and for me, the name value alone, I would take the risk and just see if I can get him on my team to see how it all plays out for the rest of, at least for the next couple of weeks. Let the next couple of weeks process. If he stinks up the joint and you need to drop him back into the waiver wire pool, then you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. Next up is a player who is, again, taking advantage of an injury on his team. He has a key player injured, and he's warming up. And it's somebody that I want to keep an eye on, but also if I have the ability to roster him right now, I would, and that is Kelly Aubrey Jr. With Embiid out, he is going to take advantage of that over the last 7 days. Check this out. 32.8 minutes per game. That's more than Paul Reed, right? 18 points per game, 5 rebounds, 0.8 assists, 1 steal, and about 0.8 blocks. So he's putting up the defensive stats, getting a clear steal a game, but also putting up buckets with 18 points per game. Kelly Aubrey Jr. is somebody that I am taking a look at for the waiver wire.